Hi friends, welcome to another episode of Conversations with a Love Activist. Now in this episode I share with you what I've learned in couples coaching as well as in mood mapping, and I share with you a huge manifestation that I've had as a result of my healing. So share, subscribe, like, and stay to the very end as I share with you my biggest aha moments in our crib notes. Love you! I just thought to do a roundup of the couple of weeks that I've been doing mood mapping and couples coaching. I have my heart chakra candle from Africology here, and I'm about to just spray some auric spray just to clear the space because a lot has happened. So it's been quite an emotional couple of weeks. Even just today is it's the 22nd of the second month, 2021, right? And so the numbers appear as 2222, which has been following me around, especially these last couple of days. And that angel number is talking about lightness. It's talking about the fact that yes, you've been going through challenges, but it's about keeping the faith, knowing that your guides, your ancestors, your people are with you, and that your life is unfolding, be it slowly in your opinion or in your physical experience, but all that you have put forward, all the vibrational work that you've put forward, things are starting to unfold. So, where do I start? Let's start with couples coaching. So, we've had a couple of sessions now with Shannon Pam, and you know, God is so graceful because He provided. It's raining. It's so romantic right now. God provided this perfect platform for us to really peel back a lot of layers of our relationship. So there's a dear friend of mine who is pregnant, and you would have seen by now in the episode that basically me and Quentin were having a fight about whether I can attend or should attend the baby shower or not. Why I'm saying that situation was so filled with grace is that I wouldn't have realized, firstly, the fact that my husband has such a big need for safety. I wouldn't have realized the depth of that need and where that core need came from. I wouldn't have understood that my shutting down is because my core need is connection. I get energized by being around people that I love and I care about. And that is not a nice to have, it's a core need that I have. And so being able to put into words why it is important for me to connect with my friends and to lay it out on the table to go, okay, now that I see as Quentin that you have this core need to connect with your friends, and you see that I have this need for safety, how can we put this situation on the table with the concerns that go on either side of these needs and find a place that makes sense for our family? And that has been such an empowering experience because I run away from big conversations. I immediately shut down when I have to engage. And understanding where that comes from, I understood that, it's because of the way I was brought up. You know, when your parents are telling you what you've done wrong, you put your head down, you let the storm pass, and then you don't really engage with what they said. And that's how I was treating Quentin. But I didn't understand that it was because I was trying to protect my heart. And that I believed somewhere that I'm not smart enough to win an argument with Quentin, because another huge, beautiful discovery is that Quentin uses cognitive empathy to deal with a situation, and I use emotional empathy to deal with the situation. And so when Quentin is wanting understanding, i.e., justify why you need to do this, I shut down and try to protect my heart, because I'm like, I don't have the words that will convince you of why this is important for me. And so I'd rather not start, and I'd rather just shut down and protect myself and go into protection mode. And this has been a cycle in our relationship for 7 years now, where I think he's trying to be controlling and trying to control my movements, whereas then he's trying to keep me safe. Because if I look throughout our relationship, our fights are about, you're going out with the girls, but you guys are gonna get drunk and then you're gonna drive, or you're gonna take an Uber, and that's not gonna work. And so the fight, I would think the fight is about the fact that I've gone out with my sisters, but the fight is about the fact that you are putting yourself in danger, and my core need for safety is on high alert, and I'm literally in high anxiety right now at the thought of you being in some kind of danger. And that comes from the fact that, he lost his mom when he was 17, and he always felt like he could have done something. He should have called the ambulance. He shouldn't have listened to her when he said, let's go to the hospital. And so for him, because he's lived with this guilt of, I could have done something to keep the person that I love safe, and it resulted in a huge tragedy, he tries to avoid that by all means. But now I have an understanding of where that is coming from. And so, for example, I eventually ended up going to the baby shower. Quentin, we had a conversation about it. Literally on the day, he's like, go. Just go love on your friend, just be safe, and so on. And a week later, or a couple of days later, it was a very dear family friend's 30th birthday. And I was like, I can't extend my husband's need for safety any further than I already have. So I'll have to decline that invitation. And I could decline it with peace of mind of knowing that I am acknowledging my husband, and I am able to create that connection. I'm going to have a more intimate setting with that said friend, where we'll be romantic together. So it's been such a huge gift. Just from this one situation, it has cracked open our relationship of almost 10 years, and the recurring fight that we've been having. So, yeah, couples coaching is going really, really well. And then, womb mapping. Oh, Lord. That one is, whew. I knew it would be a lot, but I didn't expect it to go to the depths that it has. I mean, I've only had three sessions. So we started with the left ovary, which has to do with emotion. Anyway, let me get straight into why I'm feeling so highly triggered and why I had to make this video. So last week, the womb mapping session was dealing with the sealing of the womb. And the sealing of the womb, right? The womb is divided into quadrants. The left ovary, right ovary, the ceiling, and the floor. So far we've dealt with the left, the right, and last week we dealt with the ceiling of the womb. And the ceiling of the womb is your creation space, the space where your gifts sit, right? And it's the place that has the most repression, the most wounding, all these beautiful things. I actually want to just read some of the the work that is done in the womb space. So in the womb space, or in the sealing of the womb, it's about recognizing your divinity, and that source is with you, and that because you recognize that source is with you, you don't have to over rely on your masculine side, or the masculine side of the womb space, which is the right ovary, which is where your fire sits. You can relax, and instead of doing, take inspired action. Do out of inspiration, not out of having to prove your worth and your deservability. So a lot of our self-worth issues sit in the ceiling of our womb. And as you know, kids, I have a lot of self-worth. It's why I'm doing this whole thing, is to develop more self-love for myself. And so a big thing that we're also actually working on as a family is having another baby. I took out my contraceptive device 3 weeks ago, and while we have been waiting for my period, I've been having because the doctor said I can literally start as soon as my first real period happens. From there, we can start trying for a baby. And so Gogo asked me many questions about the fact that, the ceiling is your creation space, and you're wanting to create a life now in your womb space. What is the motivation around having the second baby? And so that question took me aback, and I said to her, well, I want this baby to experience this healed, full, loving version of myself. That's what I want a soul to experience, this version of me. And she said, why isn't it enough for you to be the one to experience this version of you? Why must this version of you have to be created for someone else? Why aren't you creating this version of you, for your enjoyment, for your nourishment, for your pleasure? Why aren't you creating out of pleasure for you? That I couldn't answer why. Why it's not good enough for me to heal just for me. Why do I need to heal for someone else to enjoy the benefits and the dividends of my healing? Why can't I be a good enough reason to heal for? Why do I need external validation of a baby to justify the importance and the urgency of the healing? So yeah. This journey is teaching me so much about deservability. I didn't understand that I was using trying for a second baby as an external checklist of I am healing so that there's this external validation that will come in this life, in this human that will be part of our family. I didn't realize that I was using the second baby as a validation. Instead of my healing being enough, instead of my healing being honey for me to enjoy, for me to sip, for me to taste, for me to experience, for me. So this, yeah, womb mapping is intense because it's about creating a blank slate for myself to create from. Not a slate of this is what I'm expected to create. I'm in a marriage, I'm in a relationship, I should have a second baby. Everyone is asking me about a second baby. But am I creating this extension for my family out of pleasure and out of joy, or am I doing it to validate my experience that, I've ticked all the boxes that make me a woman and make me an adult in this structure? And then on top of that, something really hectic happened. So Tulu tuned in, and Gogo tuned in, and she found that there's an imprisonment lying somewhere in my energy field. There's a feeling of imprisonment from either my mom or my mom's mom or my mom's mom. There's this imprisonment energy. And so we went into a meditation, and she said, just see your mom putting her hand on your shoulder, and your grandmother and your great-grandmother and your great-great-grandmother, and see this line of women basically about to support you. She had also mentioned that the hummingbird is coming up, and the hummingbird is an incredible creature because it's this tiny creature that can fly huge distances, but also can fly backwards. Birds can't fly backwards. And so the hummingbird takes us back into our past, including our past lives. So as my mother's mothers are coming up, this Dutch white young man shoves into this matriarchal lineage and puts his hand on the shoulder of the ancestor that's in front of him. Okay, what just happened? And he told his story that, he grew up in a very Christian Dutch reality. And he was a transgender person. He was a woman inside, but in a man's body. And so because no one could figure him out, they shipped him off to another continent with a wife to go and build something over there and farmland and do whatever you have to do. But we can't handle you as you are right now. And this is not even him having said, I am a woman inside. No, they just could tell that you do not fit in our society. So let us put you on another continent. Here is a wife. Go build something. You'll be fine. And he felt so trapped. He was literally wearing these gray pants. These, the pants, the blanket they give you in prison, that gray blanket that's like amalgamated out of many pieces of blanket. It's basically steel wool. And I could feel the roughness of those pants and the roughness of his shirt, and that all he wanted to do is wear a silk dress and be free to be who he wants to be and to express himself completely and fully, judgment-free. And it must be either that he is an ancestor of mine or that it's a past life that I've lived, but I feel him, I felt him. Even during the meditation, I had to tell him, I see you. A big thing that came up in couples coaching is that one of our biggest core needs, even bigger than being loved, is being seen. And that people will go through any length to be seen, to not feel invisible, to know that they exist. And so having to shut down so much of himself, he had to become invisible to himself so that he could just cope, right? And so that is where this imprisonment was coming from when Gogo had tuned in. It's from either this ancestor or this past life that I have lived. It was so strong. I can still feel it in the energy, whatever the case is. we are multidimensional, and I strongly believe that we're living in multiple dimensional spaces simultaneously. And so I had to tell him, I see you and I love you and you are loved. And even if right now you feel like you have to live this imprisoned life of secrecy, just know that there's a version of you that is going to choose better, that is going to live fully, that is going to fully express the flamboyance that they are, that is going to live loudly because you couldn't. And hopefully that will bring you some kind of lightness, some kind of healing, some kind of reassurance to know that your life is being lived in full color somewhere. It might not be in 1784 where you are living right now, but just know that there's a version of you that is going to choose to do better, that's going to live more brightly, more loudly, and that's going to take up more space because you couldn't. Wow. And I'm grateful that you stayed for me. I'm grateful that you stayed, that you didn't end. As Shannon Pam says, emotion has to move. And so that was just all possibly hundreds of years of emotion just moving through my body and continuing to move through my body. And so, yeah, friends, that is the roundup of how this hero's journey is going. I know right now it looks really messy, and it doesn't look like goals, but I can tell you 1000% that my life has changed. I am experiencing things I never thought I would experience. I'm onboarding a global client. Like, that's insane. That's insane. I get to love people. I get to love children for a living. People pay me to love children. I mean, I never ever dreamt that I would be able to do that. Now people are paying me millions of rands to do that. It's insane. It's insane. So as much as it doesn't look sexy, trust me, it's worth it. My relationships are so much more richer because of it. My relationship with myself, the lightness that I feel, it's unfathomable, it's indescribable, and to think that there's more and more and more and more is just mind-blowing to me. It's mind-blowing. And so, yeah, friends, you are worth the mess. You are worth doing the messy, hard stuff. You're worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. Okay? And this is all that this is me coming and emerging into my fullest self. And it may not look like a beautiful Instagram filter. It's glorious. It is glorious. It's beautiful. Yeah. Because if I'm done, go have a nap. You're done. you have done. Because no Denisa. Because indeed, my mother-in-law I've never met, but felt with me every day. I feel you every day. And I love you so much. Thank you for giving me my family. Thank you. Enkosi, ndiyabonga. Enkosi ngobomi. Enkosi, ndiyabonga. And I honor you with my living. I honor myself with my living.